Hello, my name is Andrew Kitzmiller, and this is my presentation for IT 335 on my Sharepoint website. Now, the Sharepoint website that I've created is for a fake beer brewing company by the name Bulldog Brewing. And to start off, I'm going to go over the various web parts and features on the Sharepoint site homepage. So the first web part that I included on my homepage is the calendar web part. I use this tool to basically just display the various stages of the beers that are brewed by the company when they need to be moved from the fermentation stage to the next one, when they need to be started, and other things like that. I also used it to display the various events that are hosted by the company. For example, the winter tasting event. This is just an event where the customers could come to our bar and try samples of the new seasonal brews that we have out. Um, Another thing is it allowed me to attach documents to it so that if any related documents to the things such as flyers for the various events. Another cool thing that allowed me to do was make it so that it's a recurring event. So with a brewing company that has a lot of regular brews that are brewed year round, it was important to make sure that all the beers are in stock at all times. So I was able to repeat the brewing of all of these various different beers so that they are constantly in stock. The next web part that I included is the announcements page. This basically just displays all announcements related to the company. This is where I would announce any upcoming events, like the winter tasting event that I mentioned earlier, brief description, timing, and when the day it's going to occur on, and everything like that. Basically, this is going to be used to inform all employees and where they can look to stay informed and update on any big major events and happenings related to the company. The next web part I included on my homepage is the documents list. This is where all major documents related to the company and all other files, such as the company logo, will be available. This is where things like the various different flyers and the beer menus will be kept. And now the final web part that I included on my homepage is the employee contact information list. This is just so that any employees that need to contact any of the various other employees or supervisors can easily find all of the information they need. So the next part of the SharePoint site that I created was a beer wiki. This is basically a wiki site containing information about the various beers brewed by the company, organized by the country style or region style. The reason I included this on the site is that it would be important for the various bartenders and brewers of the company to know the specific details of all of the various brews brewed by the company, so that if any customers come in and ask questions, that they'd be able to easily explain everything. So the next part of my site that I included is the brewing blog. So the blog that I included is basically just a forum where the employees can share ideas for new beer brewers, post updates on the status of any beers currently being brewed, or also just request shifts to be covered or traded. This allows employees to easily communicate with one another and share any information they wish to. And the configuration of the blog just required me to create the several different categories, but other than that, it was fairly simple. Now, the next page I included on my site is a beer inventory list. This is essentially just a list of all of the beers currently in stock, the number of kegs of that particular brew, the size of the keg in gallons, the sale value per individual 12-ounce beer, and then the number of 12-ounce beers per keg. And all of this information was then used to calculate the inventory sale value. This would be extremely useful to the company as it would show which beers we have high inventory of. So that could be then used to determine which beers need to be discounted or maybe advertised more so that we empty a little bit of our stock. Another view of this list that I included is a low inventory view. This essentially shows which brews we're low on stock of, which is roughly less than 10 gallons in stock. This required me to create a custom view, and it essentially includes only those items that have a number of kegs less than or equal to 2 and have keg sizes less than or equal to 5. And that's how I was able to calculate that view. The next feature on my website is the Microsoft Access app. This basically is just a team member form that allows me to group all of the different employees into teams. Now, each team is made up of a master brewer as well as a regular brewer, each who has an associated ID related to them. So, for example, if you take a look at the Team USA, for example, that brews the American beers, it's made up of team member ID number 1, who's myself, as well as including information about the number of years that I've been brewing, as well as the brewer's ID and the years that they've been brewing. Now, one kind of cool feature is that you could go back to the list and then click a particular employee and then see all of the various teams that he's a part of, as well as the idea of each of the brewers that he works with. So that covers most of the major links of my website. So now let's take a look at some of the different subpages that I've included. This first page is basically just a brief survey titled Brewing Opinion, where the employees can leave feedback and rate the various beers that are brewed by the company. This is completely anonymous so that the employees can feel comfortable to say whatever they want. Once the user has filled out the survey, I can click to use a graphical summary of all of the submissions. So basically my survey consists of 2 questions, a rating of the various brews brewed by the company, as well as a comment box. As you can see, the users can rate each beer from low to high, 1 to 5. And there have been a total of one person that has taken the survey, and nobody has yet to leave a comment or suggestion. So one of the cool features of the survey tool is that it allows me to sign up for to receive alert notifications when anybody makes edits to the survey or even fills out the survey. That way I could receive a notification, log on it immediately, and read their feedback and opinions. So for the creation of each of these questions, it's basically just required me to click the add button and then go in, type the question here, and then select the type of input I wanted the user to submit, yes, no, choice, etc. So it was fairly simple to implement. So the final page that I've included on my site is essentially a task list that I've named the to-do list. And I've applied a workflow to this list so that I can track the progress, set the progress, and change the status and other things of that nature. So for this list of tasks, I decided to use this to track the progress of the creation and planning of the different events and their setup, the various different brews and their status updates on those, as well as any flyers or documents that need to be created. So if you take a look, you'll notice that this event is for creating the flyer for holiday discounts, for example. The current status is that it's in the planning phase. It's set to an average priority, and I'm given a brief description of the task, and it's under the flyer or document category and has a due date of the 10th. This will basically allow the users to log on and be able to see any tasks that are personally assigned to them immediately, and they will be able to read the description and see what is required of them. That way they can get started as soon as they wish to. So those were all of the pages on my site. After developing my enterprise content management system with Microsoft SharePoint, I think that these kind of website tools would be a great implementation for almost any kind of company. The thing I like most is that there was just an abundance of the collaboration tools. So not only does it allow me to easily contact anybody or send people messages, but I can share the documents extremely easily. One of the biggest kind of setbacks and issues with working in groups, especially on group projects, is trying to share files and keeping everything updated and making sure that everybody is using the most recent file. And with this kind of system, it's completely eliminates a lot of those issues. One of the only kind of struggles I faced when developing this site was dealing with its complexity. The possibilities of this tool seemed endless, but this also felt like it made it a little too intricate at times. When I wanted to implement some of these various web parts, I found myself getting a little bit confused with the hundreds of different customization options and some of the tools. But overall, I felt like it was a really great tool to use. Like I said, I think these tools would be great to implement in any kind of business or organization, as it would allow the company to basically use it for whatever they want to. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get it to that point. Um, I think that if business were to implement this kind of system, that they would need to hire an expert in SharePoint, for example. Having somebody that has in-depth knowledge of the tool and experience with it would go a long way, especially when it comes to the initial setup, because once the tool is set up, I found that navigating the site and finding everything you needed to was extremely easy. It's just the setting up process that can be a little difficult. So I could definitely see these kind of sites becoming more popular in the future, especially as businesses are getting larger and are moving towards digitalizing their records and need to be more organized. So I think that once these technologies do become extremely widely used and popular, that the knowledge on how to use these enterprise content management systems will be in extreme high demand by companies wishing to implement them. So while learning how to use this tool was sometimes frustrating, overall I had a lot of fun learning how to use it and think that it's an incredible tool with unlimited possibilities. This concludes my presentation on my SharePoint website. Thank you for watching.